Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey everybody, welcome to Paranormal Karen. Today, super excited having my friend Betsy Palmer back. And before we do this, I want to tell you all, join the Patreon. I have a new level just for a $5 level for people that want extra Paranormal Karen episodes, especially the Utica ones, which are already kind of off the chart. Crazy. They're a ton of work because I'm doing them all on my own, but it's really a great series. Just what's going on in Utica, all the craziness. And of course, we always have the Tarot and Psychic Development Patreon level too. So today I'm with my friend Betsy Palmer, who we're going to sound like we're jumping right in the middle of this conversation because I did interview. When did I interview you, Betsy? Was it a year ago?
Yeah, it's a year ago, but I have it memorized now. It is episode 184.
Oh, 184. Oh, great. And what am I? I'm not sure. I might be to 200. Hold on a second. I will check. That's good to know. I am on 219. Okay, so that was a bit ago. Excellent. And cool. We talked all about mediumship and about your book. And then since then, you and I have been talking quite a bit. And I want to just cover a tad bit on the mediumship first. And then we're going to jump into sort of other tales or other dimensions or other things. And then we're going to talk about my apartment. So really quick to recap, you've always been a medium all your life, correct?
Yes, I have. When I was a kid, I always knew there was things around me. I always felt presences. I always had impressions of things coming in, and it was terrifying. But now I love it.
Oh, yeah. And you and your family, there's a little family lineage with this, correct?
Indeed. My mom was also gifted, and my sister is an animal communicator, Penelope Gordon. She's in Seattle.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so, but you didn't really start doing it as a business until later in life. What did you do before that? And also, what made you kind of switch over?
Yeah, so it's a funny loop. I was a horse girl, so when I was young, I actually worked in horse racing. I exercised race horses and helped train them. And I had always been on this path of wanting to develop my psychic abilities, wanting to be presenting in public. I was really fascinated with channeling, and I always wanted to do it. I was always learning, taking classes, reading books, but it just never seemed to come together. I never found the confidence. On my 55th birthday, I was having a really bad day. I was sitting kind of pouting in a meditation, and my guides came in and said, "Okay, here we go. Are you ready? We're doing this now." And I kind of laughed and thought, how's that going to work? What am I supposed to do? And they said, "Nope, nothing. We got it. We're just letting you know." Two or 3 months later, I was channeling for a group of friends who had been meditating together for 7 years. So they gave me the opportunity to get started, and then it just took off like a rocket.
Okay. And there's two different things that you and I, that probably we all differentiate. So channeling is messages, and mediumship is direct communication with a person that is deceased, correct?
Yes, that is in a nutshell. Yes.
Okay. Do you put both of those under the term of mediumship? Because I never did, and now I'm kind of feeling like everybody does.
It feels the same to me. I think the distinction is when we hear the word mediumship, we all are kind of thinking that you're talking to a being that used to be a human on Earth, and that channeling is receiving messages from beings in the non-physical. And I think there's just the line between those two things gets thinner and thinner, because I think you can channel just about anything, but I think you can also communicate with people that are actually humans on Earth now. So is that mediumship or channeling? I don't know.
Yeah. But you do, if people come to you with pictures and say, this was my husband, he's been passed away a year, you do that, correct?
I do. I absolutely do. I don't use pictures. I use name, birth date, and how long they've been gone. And in my head, I see a filing cabinet, and I go through the files and find that one person.
Oh, great.
If I see a picture, I tend to read into it, like seeing it like a tarot card, and you know how you can interpret a tarot card so many ways. If I see a picture, sometimes my human brain wants to layer a description or a judgment. And so if I don't see them but go through the mental filing cabinet, then I feel like I have that person and not just a random person with the same name.
Ah, that's great. I feel like sometimes I like to see what the person looks like in my head first and then match it to the picture.
Yeah. See, my sister works with photos. She really, really needs a photo, and then she's in. But for me, it's different.
I think for animals, that's Sonia likes a photo too. I think that's a different frequency. So I think that works out like that. So you started channeling for friends. So when people come to you, so people do specifically come to you for that. And also, I know this is a weird thing, but you also do predictions. I'm always amazed when some people are like, I don't do predictions. Do you do predictions?
I do not.
Okay, so you're helping people with messages right now.
Yeah, it's all about the now for me.
Okay, got it. All right. And so you've had some, we got talking, and one of the reasons to come back on here, you do have stories about other beings and other dimensions. Tell me about that.
Oh, boy. Yeah, where do I begin? Well, one thing, probably one story that I may get roasted a little bit for this one because I did something that everybody tells you don't ever do it. Don't ever make a deal with the Fae. My sister is a Harley chick, and she was on a charity ride and was rear-ended by a member of the other club they were joining at 50 miles an hour. So she goes rolling across the highway, apparently, over the handlebars of her bike. And she called me afterwards, and she was okay. She had broken no bones. But I was so mad when she described what the guy had done. He was trying to pass her on the shoulder of the road and hit her. While riding in formation, I was so mad. I reached out to the Unseelie Court and said, please go get him. I'll do whatever you want.
Okay, so tell everybody what the Unseelie Court is.
Okay, so, I'm no expert, but the fairy realm has two kingdoms, the Seelie and the Unseelie. The Seelie Court is what we think of as the light, happy, goody Fae, which that's not as simple as that. And the Unseelie Court is defined as the Fae that you always need to be cautious about. That they like have unseemly. A little bit of a unseemly, unseelie. They have a little bit of an edge to them. Yeah. So I said, you go take care of this guy. I'll do whatever you want. So I absolutely felt they took off, and I just waited. A few days later, I was out swimming in the ocean, and I was just kind of bobbing there, and they came back to me and they said, hey, we did what we could, but that guy's so messed up, we can't be around him anymore. So I'm still waiting to see what I'm to do. I don't know, but I did it.
Okay, so did you find out what happened to the guy?
I have let it go because I don't want to get fixated on him, and I don't want to put that energy out there and attract more back. I know in my head whether the Unseelie did, will, won't, no matter what, karma will catch up with him anyway. And if they came back to me saying he was too tragic for them to mess up, that means that he's got, he's probably doing it on his own okay.
Interesting. Okay, but your sister turned out all right.
Yeah, sister's fine now.
I think that's the case with a lot of people, and I don't even think it has to be terrible people or stupid people. I think sometimes the reason I have very little interest in that, you know, I guess my friend would say baneful magic, is because I think most people are like that. They are their worst enemy.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't take much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you also had a friend that was doing a spell for you about a boyfriend. Oh. Was it about getting a boyfriend, or was it about a particular guy?
Yeah. Yes, this is the legend of the Mall Witch of Juarez. I was living in Dallas, and I was getting a little restless, and a friend of mine did not want me to move. So she decided if I had a boyfriend, I would stay. We went to Juarez for a 4th of July weekend and to visit her family. And while we were there, we were at a mall, and she popped into this shop and had someone whip up a spell. And she comes, and she didn't let me go in there with her, but she comes out with this little small framed picture wrapped in white muslin cloth. She said, "Don't open it. Put it in your closet when you get home." Yeah, it attracted 2 dandies. Well, actually more than that, because there was people in my workplace too that were creepy and stalkerish. But yeah, it attracted 2 winners. One who fantasized about harming the people that were his partners, and the other one was possessive and jealous, and I dumped him, and then he tried to do a binding spell. I came home one day and found this grocery bag at my door with a flower and a prayer book and some things in it. And of course, police wouldn't do anything about it. So I called some witchy friends together, and we did a ceremony, and we sent all of his energy back to him, all the manipulation and things. And the fool had even included a hank of his own hair.
Mm.
Yeah. So that was that. But I did end up leaving Dallas pretty soon after that.
Yeah, so that should be a lesson. Don't buy your spells at a mall store. What is the tale of the Mall of the Witch of Juarez?
Well, yeah, that's it. She took a picture of Saint Anthony, who is
this is a person that owns a shop?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And she's known as the Witch of the Mall of
well, she is in my world now, because I've told the story and everybody starts laughing and saying, "Yeah, you got to be careful of those witches at the mall."
Yeah, that's a weird.
So it's the spell is a picture of Saint Anthony holding baby Jesus, and you tell Saint Anthony that you're taking the baby away from him until he gives you what you want. So she had put a piece of tape across the image of the baby. And that was the spell. And as long as it was in my possession, St. Anthony would continue to bring men to me so he could get the baby back.
That's dark magic.
Right.
Did your friend know she was dabbling in black magic if you're taking the baby away from St. Anthony? That sounds awful.
My friend's grandmother was a bruja, and she was the chosen one. So she grew up going to the cemetery at night, burying her grandmother's jobs with her. So she knew all about it.
Wow.
So the way to get rid of it was I was told to take it to a place I would never go back to, and then drive back home in a different route. So there was no direct cord that it could follow, and never look in the rearview mirror. So I drove out to the jail, threw it out the window, and drove away in a different, yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting that your friend wouldn't know that it would attract creepy guys.
Well, and there's the rub. I guess that's the downside of dealing with that stuff, right? Yeah.
You know, it is funny because I usually do most of whatever I'm going to do. I really don't do any spell casting. I might do meditating with candles and light, but I think sometimes, and this is, I'm sure your friend was fine, but I think sometimes we underestimate, what someone else, their dark side. Like, people don't show their dark side. It doesn't matter how much you know them. There's always a little bit more. And I think that's why it's probably best to learn all this stuff yourself, don't you think?
Yeah. And I think any form of manipulation,
Yeah.
no matter what it is you're trying to do, trying to attract, trying to get rid of, working on your own behalf, working on others' behalf, any attempts at manipulation, you need to really make sure you understand full ramifications of that.
Yeah. Yeah, because if it's not the right time to meet someone, look what happens.
Well, but even if it is the right time, the ripple effect of you affecting what's around you and the people around you, and how does that affect? It is literally like the drop of water and the ripples going out. You better be really clear about who you're contacting, why you're contacting them, what are they, who are they, what do they do, and what price are you willing to pay?
Yeah.
Because I have had this backfire for me in trying to create good stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, hold on one second. Let's take a break and then come back, and then let's hear about that. Okay. Here we go, folks.
Sure.
We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Ashley, and Prithvika is my collection of consciously created crystal and nature forged jewelry. Prithvika translates to of the earth in Hindi, which represents the natural earth-made materials I'm working with, along with my personal ancestry and grounded energy. Each piece is created through ceremony and science and completed with being Reiki charged. I'm currently featuring copper mirror necklaces, which can be used for protection and mirror magic. My intention is for your new piece of jewelry to feel like an extension of self, to help bring your desires to fruition and to amplify the magic within you. My Instagram is @Prithvika, and my website is prithvika.com. That's PRTHVEEKA.com.
Okay, so you've had some stuff creating good stuff that went sour. Tell me about that.
Yes. Well, my day job now is working in fine jewelry. And on 2 occasions, I've had people say, hey, I know this great manifesting thing. There's this healing technique, or there's this alignment thing. Great manifesting technique. And I tried it twice. And both times, yes, I had an amazing sale or amazing sales. But then nothing afterwards for whatever long. And it dawned on me after the second time I did this, that I ended up over the long run averaging out the same amount of sales as I would have without the magic. So I had this huge sale, and then I had to sit out this waiting period for the karma to catch up so that my numbers would even out.
Interesting.
It's not like I had a great sale and then more and more and more and more. At least that's the way it worked for me. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have different stories. That's the way it worked for me.
You know, I also think there's something about that. Like, I think that sometimes it's like for manifesting money, especially, I think we all think in a certain level, and I'll put finances on this to say I think I'm a $70,000 a year girl. Okay. I'm not thinking like $170,000 girl. That girl doesn't care when she gets a speeding ticket. That girl doesn't care. It's like, I was just looking, I wanted to buy some new pens for my Procreate program. And I was like, well, $67 is kind of a lot. That's thinking like the $70,000, not the $170,000. So if you're going to manifest bigger, you actually really have to have that mindset in there. And I think that's where we stop ourselves. And it may have just been like, you were like, oh, I reached this. And then, it's evening out. It's fine. Does that make any sense?
It's absolutely exactly it. Yeah, I agree completely.
And what do the witches call that? Taking a penny? And
I don't know.
knowing when you take a penny from the universe, you're either taking it from someone else or you'll have to give it later.
I don't know that one.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it's the fine line between manifesting and casting a spell is really interesting because I think casting a spell seems to be, I guess I would say faster, but again, it has these pieces of balance to it. And it almost, just from this, I don't know, it's such a, like, do you understand the difference there between manifesting and casting a spell?
Well, because I don't really have any kind of formal education in my background with the most of this stuff in my head, even thoughts are spells.
Mm-hmm.
If you say it, it's a spell. If you do it, it's a spell. Intentions and spells and prayers to me are pretty closely aligned. I know in casting spell, there's traditions and ceremony and rituals, and there's tools that you use. And that's a big production, so that seems really important and a lot of energy and focus on it. But if I'm doing a new moon intention and I have my candle and my crystal and I'm writing my intention down and burning it, I don't know how that's any different.
It's interesting. I feel like manifesting could be more generalized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas I feel like spells are more specific, or I would also say more powerful. And I think in manifesting, when you're doing, I feel like manifesting is when you're changing a whole level of your life. Like if you're manifesting a better, let's say you do want to move from that $70,000 a year girl to that $170,000 a year girl. I think that's done more like a bigger shift. Maybe they're closer than I'm thinking.
No, I agree. It's more focus, more intention, more time, more energy. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it seems more. I keep wanting to say more focused or less up to the universe, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe some other people would have some things to add to that there. So when you talk to beings, like when you said you went to see the Unseelie Fae, or they showed up. Let's go back to that and see what happened. Did you see that in your mind? Did you know they were there? What happened?
Well, I am mostly clairaudient, clairsentient kind of a girl. So I don't see things as much. I don't journey. I don't meditate and go into a journey as much. I get myself grounded and centered, set up my protection and my boundaries, and I call in. And so that's what I did. And when I felt their presence, that is when I made my request.
What did their presence feel like? Did it feel icky or different, or?
No, because I don't know that. I don't know how to explain that part. I just feel when I am reading descriptions of, looking at imagery of, hearing stories about, it seems in my being that the descriptions and all the language about the Unseelie feels like home to me.
Oh, okay. So you're comfortable with them?
Yeah. Because like everything is equal, right? Mm-hmm. Light and dark. There's equal light and dark. And I know in my lifetime that my dark side has expressed itself very, very clearly.
Sure. And if you have a connection to the Fae, you would have a connection to all of them.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So have you had other experiences with Fae?
I feel like I have had, I did have another interesting thing with the Fae. I lived on a farm, a friend's farm, for a little while. And there was a dispute with a former neighbor about the property alignment. And I asked the Fae to set up protection around the perimeter of the farm. And interestingly enough, eventually they lost this little strip of land. And I was so upset. I was so sad because I felt like I hadn't done my part or I hadn't kept my energy up in it with the Fae of keeping it protected. But after the decision had been reached and
And this
They
wasn't
had-
just for visual. This little piece of property was
It was,
between you and
between-
your neighbor?
between the two farms, the one next to it, it was this little strip of land that the farm had been, the perimeters had been decided in right after the Civil War, so latter mid 1800s. So there's this little strip of land in dispute, and it was not much, like 30 feet wide and a mile long. It's this little strip between the two farms, and they eventually lost it in the legal decision. 3 weeks later, the new owner showed up at the door, knocked on the door, and said, "I have this for you." And it was the deed to that strip of land.
Oh, interesting.
She said, "Jesus told me to give this to you."
Oh, that's a nice story.
Isn't that interesting?
So she paid for it and then gave it to you?
They won it in court, and 3 weeks later she turned around and gave it back to them.
Oh, that's a
and
good
it
story.
had dragged through court for like 5 or 6 years. It's the weirdest thing. That's one of the weirdest stories I've ever heard.
I wonder if she just really didn't like those people also, the ones she was fighting with.
That's a really long story. We could spend an hour talking about that one.
Yeah. So you have communicated with the Fae all your life?
I have only been communicating with the Fae for probably 20 years.
Okay.
Not the whole life.
And do they ever pop in and tell you what they want?
Sometimes yes, and it's typically like, we want you to go here, go take a hike and go here and sit in this place, or we want you to set up something out on your lanai for us. It's those kinds of things. It's more nature related.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good to know. What do they like you to set up? I know they like harp music. I know when I had a harp, there was all kinds of activity.
Oh, nice. I had a little, I made a little fairy village for them at one place here, in between some decorative palms. I made a little, like a little village, and I've been known to put a little bathtub outside with crystals around, and I have a little fairy house that I made for them out on the lanai. So I do stuff like that. It's a little bit dusty right now, but
yeah, up in Ann Arbor, they have fairy doors all over the city. They have these little fairy doors, and they'll be like a regular door, and then down next to it, you'll see the little fairy door, and it's very cute. And they're doing it tongue in cheek. I don't think they're believing it, but some people set out little gardens and stuff like that. So it's very cute.
Oh, I've set out cream and honey before, and whiskey and things too on certain. I don't know if something pops up that I notice about an auspicious time to pay your respects. I will do that too.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we were talking about my apartment, tell me what you picked up in here, the one I'm in now.
Yeah, when we first started talking about it, you had told me you thought that there was an entity there with a black hat, and pretty quickly, an energy came to me, a gentleman, it still remains a black silhouette figure, impression for me, in my mind's eye. That much I can see. But he said his name, we could call him Augustus, that his name was too old-timey English, that we wouldn't understand it, but we could call him Augustus, which we have now modernized to Augie, and he enjoys that because he feels like he's participating in modern times. He is kind of a spiritual usher. He's a light worker as well. He identified himself as a being that could bring souls to you for you to help cross over into the light because you're very good at it. That was the info I got pretty quickly from that fella.
So, and it was funny because I did something like that, and then the ceiling in my bedroom came down. So I don't know. My friend Tommy was saying, I think you shifted the energy in the house, and then a water broke and the ceiling came in that same day. So that was very interesting. So is Augie there right now? Because I have two things that happened that I'd like to see if it was him or if he knew about what happened.
Yeah, let me just take one more breath and
I can pause this if you need a minute.
Yeah, go ahead, pause.
Okay, so you're tuned in, and you told me to think of my question in my mind, which there were two incidences here that happened that I wanted to see if Augie knew about either of them or if he was attached to either of them.
Yeah, so he's going back to the hole in the roof, saying it was all the light. You know, it was like the energy of that light. Mm-hmm. Calling for the souls to go through. Yeah, he's kind of in agreement about shifting energy, but he seems to think that was like what the remains of the portal kind of collapsed the roof. And he's talking about in his appreciation of you doing that work. But you're going to have to bring me into speed a little bit for me to get past that, because I'm just lingering right there. He's just kind of marinating in that one.
Okay. So there was an incident that happened in the kitchen, and this was July 2nd on Friday night. Is he in tune at all to that?
He says it wasn't him.
Okay, so it wasn't a big deal. Something got thrown. It was not thrown at me, but it was sort of picked up and tossed into the middle of the kitchen. And there was no way it didn't come. I was just standing there. I wasn't doing anything. So there was no reason that would have hopped off the counter into the middle of the kitchen. So I figured something was getting my attention. Does he have any idea who that could be? It
is definitely somebody trying to get your attention, and I feel like it's somebody that needs to cross. I don't know that it's somebody who understands that. Nope. They're correcting me straight away. It's somebody that knows they need to cross. Okay. Perhaps not the nicest person in their lifetime. I think the item that they chose was something that would have been an item they would have been attracted to in their human life, something that was familiar, that would really describe their personality. So if it was something, if it was like a knife, that would have been somebody that had an edge, somebody that would have been very kind of rough. If it was a glass, holding a vessel, holding something, it would have been someone who would have been holding space for others. So they're telling me very much like a tarot card to read those things really directly like a tarot card, that the interpretations are there. Why is Augie, why is he not bringing this person Augie did bring this person specifically into cross. Oops, his doing. Okay, so Augie brought this energy into cross. Energy does need to cross. That it's quashed down a little bit. Whatever you put up around it, the protection thing, it's like sealed underneath something right now.
Okay, that would make sense.
Yeah. So that's good. Still need to cross. They still need to cross, and Augie says he understands if you're apprehensive about doing this. After the hole in the roof, he apologizes and says, if you want to take it on, that you can get this one done. But if you're if it's not right for you right now, he totally understands.
Okay, no, I'm good with all of that. There was a second incident let's take a break and come back, and I'll tell you about the second incident. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
Okay. Be right back, folks.
Hey everyone, this is Lindsay Pandia, and I'm a recovering psychologist. I have over 20 years of experience in the mental health field, but I realize there's so many limitations. I know there are quicker ways to unlock someone's healing potential and traumas, so I stepped away from being a psychologist and took the scary leap to follow my heart and provide spiritual healing full-time. I believe I have a unique perspective that can help you also step into your full potential. I provide one-on-one healing for trauma through shamanic practices, inner child work, shadow work, and so much more. My Inner Child Workshop begins May 4th at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and May 11th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And all of the sessions will be recorded, so if you need to jump in after the workshop begins, just message me. I'd be happy to share them with you. You can learn more about what I offer and connect with me on my website at intuitivepsych.com. That's intuitivepsych.com. Join me and let's go play with your inner child and see how we can transform your traumas into treasures.
Okay, so for the second incident, it took place in the hallway outside of my apartment. And I was the only one in the whole building. Everyone was out for July 3rd weekend or something like that. And two pictures, it's a stairway, and there's two pictures that hang side to side, and it's though you're going down the stairway, so one is a little higher than the other, and all the way down the stairway there are these pictures that are going down. So I came in and I took a nap before I was going to my parents', and it seems like the second picture, I don't know how this happened, but the second picture came down and it knocked off the picture before it. So I don't even know how that's physically possible, but both pictures knocked off and went down the stairs.
Yeah, so he is taking credit for that one. He says he was coming through with another troop of energies, with souls. He was leading a group through.
Okay.
He's taking credit for that one.
And he knocked them on purpose?
No, it was like like the wind blowing really hard, or like something whooshing past. It was just the amount of energy that was passing by those things.
Okay. And so that is just the way they go, or they're trying to get into my apartment?
That was not necessarily related to you.
Okay.
Not necessarily related to you. It's like he and his group passing through high energy. I'm not sure why, because it first showed me a hallway, and it was like blowing by you in a hallway and like feeling like wind was going through you. That was the sensation that I got, and it just feels like it was going from point A to point B.
Okay.
Because he's not indicating that there is anything required, that there's lingering anywhere. It was like they were just going from here to there.
Okay. All right. I think that's all that's been going on for now. So after the pictures came down, I did a full frankincense and copal incense burn, or resin burn, and just cleared the whole place. I did an offering downstairs, which I should have done before, for the Native Americans on this land. That's a whole nother story that if you join the Patreon, you're going to get a lot of what happened with the Native Americans around here and why spiritually they probably own this land. That's very interesting, but we'll cover that in the Patreon. But everything went quiet after I did that burn of those resins. And so I think we cleared out whatever that was, or even if it was those people, I guess they had gone through or something, because everything was quiet after that. But I thought with that, and within a matter of 2 days to have something thrown in the kitchen and then have those pictures come down, I was like, I think we can do this. So that's what I did to sort of keep intrusive spirits out. Shall we say it that way? Yeah. So now you were going to say something about that.
Yeah. So, how do we keep intrusive spirits out? Or what if you're feeling like you have some energies around you that are undesirable? And I think you just gave some perfect examples of what you do. Offerings, smudging and clearing, maintaining your due diligence about keeping your energy clear, about clearing your home, clearing the space around you. I have done things like putting crystals in different places, in the corners of my house, out in front of my house. I actually have small little fairy bells on my doors. I do that stuff.
I have bells on my doors.
You have bells on your doors too?
Yeah.
So that stuff all helps. So but let's say just per chance that now there's stuff coming through too, that you're still feeling like there are intrusive energies coming through that are uncomfortable or unwanted for you. Well, now it's time to figure out what's going on with you and why they're attracted. I feel like the beings that come to me do because I can hear them, and they're going to go to someone who's able to sense, able to hear them, and able to communicate what they want said to who they want it said to. So what is going on within you that is resonating with these other energies that's getting their attention and attracting them? I think it's time to bring that home and figure that out. It could be just a fascination with it. It could be a curiosity about it, or it could be unhappiness, or it could be part of your skill set to do this kind of work with light and dark energies. There's no right or wrong. I don't feel like anybody's in danger, but I think it's sometimes we need to figure this stuff out. Mm-hmm. And if you do find for yourself that you are someone who is able to work with these energies, not the love and light kind, and I know it freaks a lot of people out, but there's a lot of people out there in the world that are very good at helping others, lifting parasites or these things that are attracted to you. And that's an amazing gift to embrace it. If it's something that resonates for you, embrace it and develop skills.
There's another thing too, which is this ultimately very haunted place where I live, with all kinds of things going on and just heavy energies. There was a dog that got lost, and I found his owner Saturday morning, but a homeless lady had him, and I was like, "Are you sure you could take care of that dog?" This happened Friday night. And I sat with her for about half an hour because I was like, I really can take care of this dog. Very, very sweet dog. And then finally she had some sort of a ride, and her ride came, and he said, no, you can't take care of this dog. Give the dog to that lady. So I took the dog home that night, and the next day it was a very well kept dog, and it had only been, you could tell it wasn't out for weeks or anything. So I called all the groomers, and then I took him to the vet, and they didn't have any chip in him. And then I called the ASPCA and finally found his owner. That's a long way around where I'm going with this. But when he was here, there wasn't anything that scared him, but he was uncomfortable in this house. And Sonia, the animal communicator, he slept and everything, but Sonia said, no, he says this house is so heavy. The next day, he got up and he got organic turkey and rice and whatever the heck I made him. I should have, whatever. And then, he was very comfortable around the house, and I got him back to his owner. But it wasn't a spooky energy, but it was the energy of this house. This house is over 100 years old. So it's a very heavy house. And then that same day later, after I had gotten him back to his owner, that was when all those things started happening like that. So the house definitely has an energy. I just recently had a client who, bought a house and has now realized the negativity that was in that house. Like I always say those, shows like A Haunting, people always, when they're moving into the house, they're always like, it was like the house spoke to me. And it was like, it probably lied to you. I think some people, as in, sometimes it's us, sometimes I think you just move into a situation, and that's a problem too. But it's very interesting now that we're in this space where sort of, I know the house always holds its own energy, but I almost feel like they're all so active right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So I think this house is adjusting to me.
Well, yeah, because you know what's going on. Now everybody's like, oh, somebody knows our shenanigans now. We better, and when you were talking about the dog there, I again was sensing Augie walking through the hallways and up and down the stairs with this group of people, and he's saying, well, this is just the path we take. And I'm like, well, why is it the path you take? Can you go around? And I'm not getting a whole lot of reply on that one. It's like, this is the path we take. This is the path we take. So there's something to that about why is it that is the path they take. It doesn't feel like their presence is there to negate an equal and opposite negative. It doesn't feel like that, but it does feel like the house holds something. All of a sudden now he's giving me an imaging like a Masonic group or some kind of group of people that would meet together and hold some kind of secret ritual, and whatever it is those people do. So maybe there was something going on in there, that the house was almost kind of like a portal kind of thing already.
Well, there's a couple of strange things with the house, and the reason it was empty is I think there's 4 apartments in the one I was in, and one girl was away, and the others were, I don't know why the first person left, and the second person left was really mentally ill.
Oh.
And I think last weekend, not here, but another person that was in one of the apartments in the back, who was very sick anyway, she passed away. So we have one apartment that's being cleaned out because the woman passed in the hospital. We have one apartment that we don't know. And then we had another one where the person was mentally ill is bad. They weren't mentally ill like they couldn't handle their life, but everything got quite tense at the end because they wanted her out, and she was like, I know I have, by law, I have this amount of time. So everything got very strange right before all of this. And also, so one of the folks, this is another reason to join my Patreon, Utica, New York is where they used to send the mafia bosses to retire. Now, what you were talking about, rituals, other people in Rome, New York, have told me about where somebody that didn't even believe in ghosts saw all these people spirits filing into a house, like saw them like, why are all those people that are dressed like the 17th century all filing into that house? So this is all the stuff I'm looking for answers on. But they said it's legend. I don't know that much about it, but you would find people assassinated on the side of the road because all the mob bosses were here. Well, the woman that owns this place moved here from Sicily. So, and here's what she used to hold Bible study downstairs every Tuesday. So there's quite an array of things going on.
Oh, so that's why Augustus is using that energy. She set it up for him already, because she was more modern, but he was part of that whole Puritan kind of vibe. So that. Yeah.
And they don't do that anymore. After COVID, it all stopped. So, but you know what else I'm finding? And this is why the pictures, why I was like, I'm not sure, is because it would also make sense. And I just, if people listen a while back to this, to the one the story where Martin talked about his positive faith story and his parents had owned a convent, sometimes things have to wait outside. They can't come in. And that picture felt like something that was outside, that I was like, well, at least I made sure I can't get in. And then that was when I just, I called Tommy and then smoked out the whole place.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you done, and so you said you did an offering outside for the Native Americans, but have you done anything around the perimeter of the whole building yet? Just some kind of protection or sealing. I mean, even if it's just some clear white salt or something.
I haven't, but here is the first issue. I want everyone that's going to be in this building to be in this building. I don't want to lock anything in.
Right.
So, and it's a very strange, it's like 3 buildings attached to each other, and downstairs is businesses, and the feng shui is insane. But I'm not even sure the size of the property. Before I start that, I don't know how I'm going to find this, but I'm literally looking for a Native American to tell me the non-white person story.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I want to wait a little bit, because even the stuff that I had, like sage and some stuff, it's not necessarily indigenous to this area, but it was just sort of a start. I thought, let's do a start.
Well, yeah, tobacco, right?
Yeah. I don't want to buy cigarettes because I'll smoke them.
Yeah, I gotcha on that one.
And I'm avoiding that right now, but but it all kind of, isn't it? It's bizarre how many things are going on in one space at one time now.
Well, it's interesting that as soon as you lit in that space, that everything, the energies needed to move.
Yeah.
Powerful you.
Or they were just hanging by a thread waiting. I think that's more, but it is, it's very funny. But I'm going to leave a couple of the tidbits for the Patreon about this whole story, which, but wonderful, Betsy, always great talking to you. And I've had so much, it's been so great with all your help with my home.
Oh, yay. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to hear
Yes,
that.
and I'm sure Augustus will be popping in to say hello again.
His work is not done.
No, it isn't. But tell everyone where they can find you and where they can book an appointment.
Certainly. mediumbetsypalmer.com is my website. There's a email me for availability. It just is easier for all of us if you just email me and we work out a date and time. I'm also on Facebook and YouTube as Medium Betsy Palmer.
And I did your show on YouTube. Tell them you do a nice little a spiritual show and channel messages.
Yeah, I have a few different things on there. And yes, thank you so much for being a guest. I have live readings and chats with other readers, mediums, and fertility shaman. That's an interesting one, Elaine Bogard. And yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm blanking out at the moment, but there's quite a few. There's a little variety. There's a walkthrough of my workbook, which is called You Are Gifted. That's on Amazon.
That's great. That's great.
There's a walkthrough that and some meditations. And yeah, it's a mixed bag of all things spiritual.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Betsy. And I'm sure I'll be talking to you again soon. And everybody, we'll see you next week. Thanks to Mike at Uno Rising Media. And everybody have a great week.